Defence, 10th domestic policy issue. We should honour the military for the job, the amazing job and dangerous job that they do on our behalf, and we should be behind them, and we should say thank you to them a lot for what they do. Even if we don't agree with the politics of what they're sent to do, our elected government sent them, and we should honour them for it. We should turn out to Armed Forces Day parades to say thank you to them, waggle our banners and things like that saying thank you troops or whatever, send them thank you cards, and I have a way of doing that. I've got an address soon to send thank you cards to soldiers deploying on Operation Herrick 16, which is the summer of 2012's deployment, and they leave, they would need to get the cards by about February, and I am getting an address and arrangements for people to make thank you cards to the troops, and if they send them to me, or I can tell you the address, I think, when I've got it straightened out with the MOD. But actually, I think the politics are better than most people make out. I think it's always difficult knowing this. You don't know how a war is going to end up when you get into it. But we need our military. We needed them in World War II. We needed them in the Cold War, and the Korean War, and the Falklands, and numerous other things that they've done since then. We need them to defend our borders, our airspace, our sea lanes, and so on. But we do also need them to, and this is the more controversial thing, to moderate the behaviour of tyrants. I mean, should we have sent people into Rwanda to stop the genocide? I think we probably should, and I don't think we had that quite right. The intervention in Libya seems to have been successful, but I think these decisions are very difficult, and I don't think we should have this constant wrangling about what's right. Well, we need to do the right thing, but making a political decision about that is a difficult process, and I sympathise with that. I think we owe the military the following things: our gratitude and admiration and thanks, adequate pay for all ranks, the right equipment, personal equipment, and big equipment like aircraft carriers and other things like that, enough staff, enough people to do the job, and decent housing for them and their families. And we should choose well where to send them, which means getting the politics right, which means being a nation that's alert and interested in the world around, and really understanding what's going on, not just having knee-jerk reactions, not being dictated to by the press, who may have got other motivations. And we need to get the politics right at an early stage, which will make it less necessary on fewer occasions to deploy the military if we can see trouble that's brewing, and be able to put it at peace by some other form, by diplomacy or just getting the relationships right, in a way that means that deploying the military isn't necessary after all. Now, another more subtle thing is that I think we should be inspired by the public service ethos of the military. The fact that they work as a team, they get paid a pretty flat rate. It varies a little bit. I'm not quite sure exactly how, but basically, they are a bunch of people working together to make the world a better place, to protect us, and to promote good ethics in the world. That's the principle, and I think that when they come home, we should really show our appreciation to them, and not have this awful divide between a selfish, self-interested nation that's not really interested in the world, and people who we send out there to get blown up and shot at and stuff like that, and when they come back, we're not interested. Well, I think things are changing a bit, which is good. but they are a fantastic bunch of people, and they put their lives on the line for us, and we should be inspired by that to live lives which use to the full for the public good, the common good of the world, the freedom and peace that that they secure for us. So we should be jolly grateful, and we should use our lives in a constructive way for the service of others, out of gratitude to them. I'm not a pacifist. I recognise that other people who think about things a lot are. I'm not. I think if a bully is doing something bad to other people or to us, well, particularly to other people, then it's the right thing to do to have, to restrain the bully. And the bully may not listen to reason, and so sometimes minimum force is required, either to defend our own nation or to see that right happens overseas in some way that is relevant to us. What is relevant to us and the national interest, I think we need to see that having a peaceful, prosperous world it is in our national interest, even if it's not in our short-term national interest, even if it costs us a lot. I think there are times when we should be involved in the world, even at short-term cost to us, even if it's considerable, because we want to see a fair and prosperous world altogether. And sometimes it's worth putting money into that, even if it isn't to our immediate benefit. I think the cadet service is great, and I'd love to see more young people going into that. I think we do need a nuclear deterrent, the Trident or something, to follow that, because unfortunately the future is unpredictable. Nuclear weapons are out there, and I don't want our country dictated to and to have no nuclear defence, no nuclear deterrent, and unfortunately I do think we need it, even if it's expensive. And it takes, if we didn't have it, it takes a long time to develop one, if we find we subsequently need it. So I think let's hang on to our nuclear weapons. The military needs to be deployable promptly, and I think we do need this Airbus A400M and drones. And basically we need a military-industrial complex. We've relied on it too much to fund our country and to sell arms abroad, which I think we've probably done too much, and with too little questioning of where they go. I take seriously the people who campaign against the arms trade, but we need a lithe, relatively selfless military-industrial complex. Less of the complex and more of the lithe and hard-working. It shouldn't be a way just of keeping the country occupied, keeping the country employed, and also it shouldn't be the way of providing well-paid senior jobs for executives. We need good inventors. We need the kit that the army needs revised. What is needed revised frequently, and the process of procurement needs to be quicker and less wasteful, and let's have less wasteful projects entered into which never come to fruition but cost a huge amount of money. I'm glad that we're in NATO, and glad that we're an ally of the United States, although it is true to say that the United States sometimes needs a good friend who's prepared to tell it when it's making mistakes or not doing things quite right, as we would want them to do, to say to us as well. So there's a big job for us to do in the world, and the military is part of what we need as our equipment to do that, and we should honour and equip it properly.